Lawrenceburg Power welcomes you to the Lawrenceburg plant. As a combined cycle plant consisting of two 2-on-1 power blocks, we utilize 4 General Electric 7FA natural gas combustion turbines and 2 General Electric D11 steam turbines. At Lawrenceburg Power, safety is our utmost concern and a shared responsibility. Every person on site has the authority and obligation to stop any unsafe job or action. An accident at Lawrenceburg Power can negatively affect the plant as well as neighboring areas. Working together to prevent safety incidents ensures a safe and productive work environment for everyone. Arrival procedures. When arriving at the Lawrenceburg Power facility, all personnel must stop at the guardhouse. If no guard is on duty, follow posted directions and contact on-site personnel for further instruction. Personal vehicles must be parked in designated areas. Please remember that cameras, recording devices, alcohol, narcotics, firearms, explosives, and lethal weapons are prohibited on plant property. Smoking is only permitted in one designated area, and cigarettes must be extinguished before passing through the gate. PPE. The minimum personal protective equipment, or PPE, required at our facility is a hard hat, approved safety glasses, hearing protection, gloves, and safety-toed shoes with an EH designation and defined heel. FR clothing is mandated in all electrical rooms. If additional PPE is required for specific jobs, it will be detailed in your safety brief. Proper tools must be used for all tasks. Hazard awareness. There are numerous inherent dangers in the Lawrenceburg plant. It is essential that you understand these hazards and work safely around them. The plant contains potentially harmful chemicals and gases, including hydrogen, natural gas, aqueous ammonia, sulfuric acid, and more. Any material suspected to contain asbestos, lead, arsenic, cadmium, or hexchrome must be treated in accordance with Lawrenceburg Power policy. Contact your site representative if you are preparing to work with potentially hazardous material. You have a right to review safety data sheets with detailed information about the chemicals used at Lawrenceburg Power. The SDS explains all risks associated with a particular chemical. Your Lawrenceburg Power representative can provide you access to the SDS database and address any additional questions or concerns you may have regarding hazardous chemicals. Caution and danger barriers. Lawrenceburg plant utilizes red danger and yellow caution barriers to isolate hazardous areas. Signs attached to the barriers define the hazard and list the person responsible for the area. Do not attempt to enter or bypass red danger tape without express permission from the responsible party. You may cross a yellow caution barrier only if you fully understand the hazard and determine that you will not be affected. When the hazard no longer exists, barriers shall be removed and disposed of properly. Arc flash policy, electrical awareness. There are many electrical hazards associated with the Lawrenceburg facility, and adherence to our arc flash policy is strictly enforced. The arc flash policy and tables are detailed in your safety brief, as well as any additional PPE requirements for electrical work. It is imperative that all visitors be aware of electrical hazards and their locations. Always assume a line is energized unless it's known to be de-energized and zero energy verified. Several breakers in the MCC are dual feed, powered from 2 sources, and are identified by red perimeters on the breaker door. For 260 VAC and above, minimum approach distances must be followed. Safety eyewash, showers. Before beginning work, locate the fire extinguisher and safety shower nearest to your job location. Your Lawrenceburg Power representative can point these items out in your job safety briefing. Should you come into contact with any chemical while working in the plant, promptly utilize the safety shower. If an illness, injury, or unexpected event occurs, it must be reported to your plant representative right away. In the event of a spill, notify your supervisor and Lawrenceburg plant team leader immediately. Hazardous material and oil must be disposed of properly, and a plant representative will instruct you on disposal procedure and storage location. Environmental awareness. Like safety, environmental protection is everyone's responsibility. Outdoor work that generates fine debris, oil drips, or paint over spray must be collected with drop cloths and drip pans to prevent stormwater pollution. When fueling or oiling equipment, do so away from storm drains and be sure to use adequate drip protection. In the event of a spill, contact a Lawrenceburg plant representative immediately. Additionally, Lawrenceburg plant recycles cardboard, light bulbs, aerosol cans, batteries, and other items. Contact your plant representative for proper disposal. Emergency notification procedures. In the event of an emergency or severe weather condition, a control room operator issues a warning over the mass notification system, directing personnel to the designated areas outlined in their job safety briefings. Once assembled, a muster will be taken to ensure all personnel are safe and accounted for. Individuals should remain at their designated location until the mass notification system indicates all clear. In the event of a tornado or severe weather event, safe sheds are provided. If, for any reason, you are unable to get safely to a shed, a secondary assembly area is located inside the turbine building under both condensers. Safety briefing. Job safety briefs are an integral part of daily operations at the Lawrenceburg plant. These briefs ensure the safety of all personnel, and no work is to begin without first discussing the job. Be advised that any work conducted on computers, breaker protection, generator protection, turbine control systems, RTUs, balance of plant control systems, or any system that could affect any of these, fall under the site's NERC cybersecurity requirements. Be sure to review the scope of work on these systems with the site's NERC designee before conducting this work. Safe permits and vehicle safety. No hot work is allowed in the plant without the proper permit. Hot work refers to all sources of ignition, including welding, cutting, and grinding. Entry into a confined space is prohibited unless a confined space entry permit is issued. When working in elevated areas, use the proper ladders, scaffolding, lifts, harnesses, and retractables. All ladders must be tied off or held while in use, and safety feet are required. When working in areas with a 6-foot fall hazard or greater, a 100% tie-off system must be utilized. Pipes containing hazardous chemicals will not be opened without permission from a Lawrenceburg plant management level employee. A clearance permit is required for work on any equipment or system with a potential energy source. Tags and locks are in place to protect workers from accidental exposure to energy. When a tag and/or lock is attached to a device, that device is not to be operated under any circumstances. These procedures ensure safe job completion and contribute to a safe work environment for everyone. To operate equipment at the Lawrenceburg plant, you must be trained in its use and have proper certification and permission. It is your responsibility to make sure that the equipment is in good working order before and after use. Upon completion of a job, you are responsible for proper housekeeping, equipment storage, and trash disposal in the areas where you work. Tools and equipment must be picked up and all debris cleared before leaving the job site. Materials should be managed to minimize tripping hazards. Mobile equipment is to be used for its intended purposes only. You may not ride as a passenger on any mobile equipment, except where equipment is designated for passengers and a seatbelt is provided. A seatbelt must be worn at all times when operating mobile equipment on the plant site, if a seatbelt is provided. Standard traffic rules are to be followed at all times. The speed limit within the plant is 15 miles per hour. At the Lawrenceburg plant, the safety and health of people and protection of the environment are our main concern. Violation of these environmental, safety, or health rules will not be tolerated. We want your time with us to be safe and productive as possible. Thank you for your commitment to creating and maintaining a safe, healthy, and environmentally responsible workplace. Hazardous gas awareness. Natural gas and hydrogen are highly flammable as indicated by the number 4, the highest NFPA flammability rating. The range of flammable mixture for natural gas is between 5% by volume, the lower explosive limit, to 15% by volume, the upper explosive limit. The range of flammable mixture for hydrogen gas is between 4% by volume, the lower explosive limit, to 74% by volume, the upper explosive limit. The lower explosive limit describes the leanest mixture of gas and air that will burn, and the upper explosive limit describes the richest flammable mixture. Natural gas and hydrogen levels above the upper explosive limit will not ignite but are still very dangerous. At some point, the outer edge of the leakage plume will mix with air and be within the limits of flammability. We must be aware that a match flame, an electric spark, or even static electricity will readily ignite a combustible mixture of natural gas or hydrogen and air. Also, remember that these gases are colorless, odorless, tasteless, shapeless, and lighter than air. Fire explosion risk. The most significant hazard when using natural gas or hydrogen is the risk of fire or explosion. On February 7, 2010, a gas explosion occurred at the Clean Energy Power Plant in Middletown, Connecticut. The 620-megawatt gas-fired facility was under construction and 95% complete. When the natural gas ignited, it caused a blast so powerful that people 30 miles away thought there had been an earthquake. 6 men died, another 50 were injured. Working in hazardous areas. Many people are unaware that cell phones, flashlights, cameras, multimeters, and other handheld devices can be a source of ignition. Additionally, mobile equipment, power tools, and many types of electrical installations can generate sparks. Certified, intrinsically safe devices, tools, and equipment are designated to eliminate or encapsulate sparks or heat that cause ignition in hazardous atmospheres. The use of non-intrinsically safe pagers, cell phones, or spark-producing equipment is strictly prohibited in classified or hazardous areas. When working in an exclusion zone, use intrinsically safe tools or carry a gas monitor to continuously check for leakage. Pipeline color coding and labeling is fundamental to all aspects of operation, maintenance practices, and hazard identification. The plant standard for natural gas piping is yellow. Hydrogen gas piping is orange. Gas monitoring. For indoor sites, stationary gas detection devices are mounted near the ceilings to detect leakage and send warning signals. Portable gas detection devices are carried by personnel to monitor for leakage when working in hazardous areas or to mitigate the use of non-intrinsically safe tools or devices. Review instructions for gas monitor applications and proper use during your job safety briefings. Workers must know how to operate the gas monitoring, including calibration, air sampling, and alarm response procedures. When leakage is detected, remove all ignition sources, exit the area, and report to plant operations. Exclusion zones. Hazardous area exclusion zones are invisible three-dimensional spheres around gas lines, vents, flanges, valves, and other potential leakage sources. Division 1 denotes areas where flammable concentrations of gas can exist under normal operating conditions, such as vents and drains. Division 2 denotes areas where flammable concentrations can exist under abnormal operating conditions, such as a leaking pipe flange or fitting. Extension cords, power tools, portable heaters, and other ignition sources are prohibited in these areas. Exclusion zones at Lawrenceburg plant are identified by flags, chain, or paint with stenciling. Yellow indicates natural gas exclusion zone, and orange indicates hydrogen gas exclusion zone. Identify safe travel routes with a plant representative during your job safety brief. Suspected leaks. Exposure to flammable gas can occur from the migration of gas indoors from relief valves, vents, or leaks in outdoor piping systems. In the event that a leak is suspected, remove all ignition sources, exit the area, and report to a plant representative immediately. When the job requires the operation of an automobile, forklift, crane, or other mobile equipment, confirm safe travel routes during daily job briefings. Emergency Action Plan, or EAP. Lawrenceburg plant has an Emergency Action Plan, or EAP, outlining procedures to organize actions during workplace emergencies, such as a gas leak, fire, or natural disaster. The EAP outlines procedures to be followed by employees who remain on site for critical plant operations prior to evacuation. Plant personnel are trained to evaluate the severity of the problem and know when to initiate the Emergency Action Plan. In terms of priority, make every effort to preserve life before property. Clearance permit. Lawrenceburg plant utilizes a lockout-tagout clearance permit policy and procedure, and adherence to this policy is required. Systems procedures. The procedure ensures protection of all personnel working on equipment at the Lawrenceburg plant. All steps of the clearance permit process are shown on flowcharts in the Clearance Command Center for clarification and reference. Before a procedure is performed, it will be reviewed step by step by all affected personnel. Before work can begin, a Lawrenceburg plant employee must submit a permit request to the issuing authority. Both employees review isolation points, drawings, or any relevant material and discuss safe work practices. Once isolation points are agreed upon, a clearance is generated, and plant personnel will isolate the equipment, utilize red tags and locks, unless a lock will damage the device, and verify zero energy. After plant personnel have isolated the equipment, the permit holder will review all isolation points, verify zero energy, and initial the red tags. The permit holder will then accept the clearance permit, and the clearance is active. No worker shall operate, move, activate, or adjust a valve, drain, vent, switch, or breaker to which a red tag is attached. The permit holder will have a safety discussion with the workers. Then the workers will add the following information to the sign-on sheet: their name, initials, date, description of work, lock number, and ADE tag, if applicable. Workers can then apply their locks. At that point, they are protected by the clearance and work can begin. When a permission to test operate, or PTTO, or a clearance modification is needed, a designated Lawrenceburg plant employee may remove tags, change the position of the device, and affix a PTTO tag. These actions are permitted only after the clearance permit holder and all affected workers have received notification and completed proper paperwork, and the issuing authority has approved and either initialed or signed the respective form. Once work is complete and everyone has signed off the crew sign-on sheet, the permit holder will release the permit and the plant can restore the system to normal. This completes the safety overview orientation for the Lawrenceburg Power Plant. All visitors are required to read and comply with the following standards. Thank you.